Hello, this is Neige from Alcest, and we are a French band. Our style is not easy to describe. Some people say it's black gaze, so it's like a mix of shoegaze and black metal. For me, I don't know. I prefer to say that we just play Alcest because we have a lot of different influences in our music, not only black metal and shoegaze. So yeah. I guess most of my favorite artists are British. I think the English rock bands were just amazing. I'm not so aware of what's going on these days, but I know that all these new wave post-punk bands, like Joy Division, The Cure, Susie and the Banshees, all these bands I'm a huge fan. And of course the shoegaze scene that was born at the end of the 80s and that kind of disappeared very early with the arrival of grunge, So yeah, Slowdive is probably my all-time favorite band. It's like number one, People started to label our music shoegaze, and I didn't know what shoegaze was. So I started to listening to Slowdive not exactly from the beginning. So yeah, they had a big influence on our later records, and especially the record Shelter, which was a purely like dream pop record. I think there is something very deep and very mystical and aquatic in their sound, and that's something we also have, like this very aquatic and dreamy vibe. Even if we are quite heavy too, because I grew up as a metal kid. Like the metalheads, when they say, "Yeah, but I like metal, but I listen to also I don't know, like thrash metal, death metal." No, for me, I listen to metal, but I also listen to things that have nothing to do with metal, like electronic music or hip-hop, anything that is good. Since I'm listening to a lot of pop and rock and like bands like The Cure, of course, who has a lot of very catchy melodies, we try to always have these hooks, like catchy melodies that you can sing along, and even if it's very heavy, it needs to be very melodic. I think I am more sensitive to female voices. I don't know it's because of the higher range, but it always has a very big impact on me. So yeah, I'm a big Kate Bush fan, for example, and or more modern artists like Grimes or Björk. In Alcest, you have a lot of high-pitched vocals too, and I think this music also allows me to express my, it may sound a bit strange, but my more feminine side, because I think as a man, as persons, we have both sides, and yeah, this band allows me to express my fragility in a way, and a different side, than the one I'm showing in the everyday life. In the very beginning, people were saying, "Oh, Alcest, yeah, they are so gay, they are so." Gay was this word that was coming back again and again, and I never really understood why, because you've got a lot of heavy metal bands with singers that sing super high pitched and that have this. But the thing is, we were always very vulnerable in our melodies in a way. It's we don't have this leather and rock and roll thing, So yeah, we are singing in French since the beginning, and actually France was a very tough market for us. It changed recently with the last record, but it was super difficult to play in France and to have fans in France, because the metalheads in France are quite conservative. They like their metal, like very. Very epic and warrior-like and everything, And the indie kids were maybe we were sounding a bit too romantic, for the indie kids. So yeah, from the very beginning we had a very international type of audience, and I think that's because the vocal lines are just like another layer in the music, like a guitar line or. And people can sing along the lyrics and not necessarily understand them, but I'm also paying a lot of effort in the lyrics, so of course if they want to read them, they can, they can find them, but they don't need the lyrics to feel what's inside the music, because the music is telling a lot already, you know.
Yeah.
I can't really figure out what's the common point in between all these things, but I guess all of them have something otherworldly, you know, something that brings us away from reality, you know, and makes us dream, and also I'm quite sensitive to melancholic vibes, you know, so it can be in a movie or in a painting, and I love symbolist painters or pre-Raphaelite painters too. So yeah, I've been always looking for new inspirations, you know, in paintings or illustrations, you know, and yeah, and that's why also our cover arts, you know, they are very important. It's also telling a story, just like the music. And I've always been into Japanese culture since I'm a kid, because you know, in France we had this anime on TV, you know, this TV program as kids, and I think it had a big impact on people from my generation. And I've always been very attracted by this culture because it feels so different from what we have here, and even on a spiritual level, you know, since they don't have this Christian background, you know, it's very different, very, very different, and you don't have this fear of death, you know, as much as it's a part of their life, and yeah, it's super interesting, and also the way they, for example, when we went to Japan, I was surprised by how like nature was mixed with technology, and you know, like modernity and traditionalism. Yeah, everything was mixed quite well together, and it's not something we see, you know, here in Europe. I wouldn't say it's about effects. I would say maybe more about the melodies that I'm using, that maybe can evoke this type of feelings. And yeah, it's very strange because, you know, when I'm composing for Alcest, there is this Alcest thing, you know, and it's a certain type of melodies that kind of always come back, and I don't even control it, you know. It's like it's a part of me, and I know it's the expression of this part of me that I feel doesn't really belong to this place, and that's what I'm talking about in this band. Yeah. So it's obviously very personal, you know. I'm not you know, like preaching anything, or I'm not part of any religion or something, but I've got my own spirituality. Yeah. And I definitely believe in in something, and in life after life. I'm writing all the music and the lyrics, you know. So yeah, it's kind of my baby, you know, since more than the half of my life now, and I'm working with Winter Hatter, you know, with the drummer for quite a long time now, and it's good to have someone also to, you know, he tells me what he thinks with a more like objective point of view, and but yeah, it's coming from a very personal place. I think there is something very, very special about the French metal scene, and it's actually the fact that all the bands sound completely different, and they talk about very different things, have different universes, you know. And yeah, you've got bands like Alcest and bands like Despair Omega, which, I mean, they don't have anything in common, you know, just maybe the guitars and drums, but yeah, it's very, very different, and still we are part of this metal scene. So yeah, we don't have this Scandinavian sound, you know, like bands from Finland or Sweden. So yeah, I think our specificity is to be very diverse, and it was a kind of underground scene for a while, but now we've got bands like Gojira, for example, who are very popular. Growing up in the south of France as a metalhead was quite difficult because there were not many people like me, you know, listening to metal. So I was pretty much on my own, always looking for people to share my passion for metal with, you know, and it was difficult to find people in my school, or, you know. I mean, that's why I started to learn drums on my own and bass and playing all the instruments in the beginning. I mean, all the inspirations I've got, you know, along the years, all these symbolist painters, like Waterhouse, for example, was very important for me. I mean, maybe for some people it's just like beautiful, like nude woman, you know, like in kind of dreamlike landscapes. But for me, it has like a wider meaning, you know. It has this otherworldly thing I'm speaking about, you know. And these characters, they almost look like they are like some kind of angels or fairies or something, you know. And so this painter has had a big impact on me, and also the illustrator Arthur Rackham. So he's done like illustrations for Tales, and same for me. It's not just illustration. It has something very, very deep and very spiritual in a way. And Miyazaki, very, very important artist of this time. Yeah, I think he's already recognized as a genius, but unfortunately, the day he's not here anymore, he will be like, I'm sure, like completely legendary, you know, because his work is incredible. I can just say that we were very happy tonight to play for the Meltdown, and I've been a Cure fan since forever, you know. So for me, it was a dream come true tonight. What happened? So.
Did you get to meet Robert Smith?
No, but there is some kind of after party with the band, so maybe he will be here. I don't know, but he's probably very busy now. So it's already great that we were invited. You know, thanks to you. Yeah.